Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. VIP me, mate. Yeah. So, the mates at Triumph. What? No, I didn't just answer a generic email from the marketing guys at Triumph. I'm bloody telling you. Look, ever since I bought this in 1995, they've been my best mates. It was a personal invitation. Well, my buddies at Triumph got in touch and said, come on, come over as a VIP and come and see the new Tiger 1200. Look, you know, it was great. It was great. I can't say anything more than that. I got in an hour before the show at the NEC, of course. So I got myself a Ryanair flight. And boy, I love Michael O'Leary. €25.98 return. Oh, the only thing is, though, they flew through the storm and they aborted their landing in Birmingham on the way there. So it was a little hairy going back, but we got there in the end. So got through, went through the GV stand, managed to nick a few bags and shit like that before I got to the Triumph stand because the GV guys weren't there. So that was dead handy. And so here we were for the presentation of the new 1200. Great it was too. This is my first glimpse in the flesh. The Rally, really nice looking bike, the Rally Pro. Here's my mate John, Adrian. Yeah, here's my mate Adrian. Is it Adrian? Yeah, telling us all about the stuff. So I'll have a cup of coffee with him later. I would. Okay, they went to a dual-sided swing arm, but look, it saved 1.5 kilos. And look, how many times do you take your wheel off? Not that often. You can see they've laid that rear shock down a bit more as well. So that pushes the weight a bit lower. This is the regular Rally, and this is actually the GT Explorer. They hide that extra 10 litres. This is the one with the 30 litre tank. They hide that extra 10 litres really well, really well. It looks nice in this blue as well, I have to say. On the GT models, the front tyre is the same 120/70/19 as the old XCAs or any of the other models of the last year's Gen 3. But the rear tyre on the GT model has gone to a 150/70, so it's gone to a narrower tyre, and it's also gone to an 18-inch tyre. So that's going to account for some of the added seat height. On the Rally, though, they've gone for the skinny 21-inch tyre, 1990 21-inch, but they also have a 150/70 18-inch wheel on the rear. So that's going to be partly responsible for a lot of the extra height on the bike. But it's okay. I sat on the GT with the seat in the low position, but they seem to have increased the leg room between the seat and the pegs. And I found it very comfortable, less cramped than my seat in the low position on my current XCA, let's put it that way. So if you're a big fan of big fat back tyres, these have got skinnier on the back. And but look, the skinnier tyre, the less you have to lean. So it'll do well for touring and on the GT model. It's, you know, I think it's a good thing. The Rally and the GT bikes, they really are differentiated bikes now. Before on the XR range and the XC range, they were really the same bike, and they were just cosmetic differences. Like I have the XCA and it just has wire wheels, but the tyres were the same, the suspension was the same, everything else was the same. But now they've really differentiated them. So if that more off-road focused is your bent, then if you can reach the floor on a Rally, that's the one to go for. It does look nice in this green, I have to say. Now, I forgot to mention when I was talking about the seat heights and stuff, there's no low version. There's not going to be a low version of this bike, or they haven't said there is, so I doubt there is. But they have got a minus 20 mil low seat, heated seat actually. So I think on the GT, because they have increased the seat to peg ratio, the low seat in the low position, or I don't know whether the low seat has a low and high position actually, but if it's in the low position anyway, it's position it's intended to be in, I think you'll still have a comfortable seat to peg ratio. And based on just sitting on the GT, which I did without it being in its stand, I was on the loose bike and whatnot, it really was an easy reach for my 29-inch legs to the floor. So with that low seat, I think it'd be fantastic. I think it would do people down to a 27-inch leg easy. One of the important things for me on this bike, for me to try, was you haven't got that pendulum feel of the top heaviness of this bike anymore. That top heaviness has gone, and I could move the bike side to side, and it was a big difference to the outgoing model. Big difference. If you see big mirror stems on a bike like this one here, it's one of the Explorer models. Only the Explorer models come with the blind spot detection, which gives you a notification in the mirror lens. You do have to say the radar above the rear light is, yeah, it's not the best. So in summary for this bike, what do I think? Well, 25 kilograms lighter than the outgoing model, 17 kilos lighter than a equivalent spec BMW GS, they say. More importantly, the top heaviness has gone. That's great. More power, although the old one wasn't lacking in power, but that's nice, 150 metric horsepower. I love it's retained, they didn't have them on at the show, but it's retained the simple dash, the simple options, the Triumph menus and stuff like that on these bikes are really intuitive, so really easy to get on with. Important for some maybe the width of the bikes with the aluminium luggage. I reckon it's 10 or 12 centimeters narrower, and a lot of that might be down to it's a nice slim exhaust. You can see there in some of these pictures, so that's great. I measured that up with a tape measure, or someone did it there for me. That was great. You can see they've moved the top box back a bit as well. It must be back a good, I don't know, 20 to 40 mil further back than the outgoing Gen 3. That was a bugbear that I had with my bike, and I modified my rack to move it back. It was just impinging too much on the pillion, so it's great to see they've improved that. And actually what they have done, you can see from some of the pictures, they've moved the panniers, especially the aluminium panniers, down and back a bit to give the pillion more legroom to the peg. That was a criticism that many people had of the outgoing model as well, and a lot of people would have put jivvy rack rails on and converted their panniers to move them down and back. So it's great to see that Triumph have done that as standard, so that's a big improvement too. The current model Tigers, the Gen 3 Tigers, for some people in very hot climates, they find the heat on the inner legs and stuff like that really hot. It looks like they've really addressed that on this. These fans on the sides of the radiators push the air well out to the side, and they made a point of talking about that in the presentation. So I do think they've probably gone a long way to alleviating the heat around the inner thighs on this bike. Look, it's not something I suffered from living in Ireland. You know, any heat was a bonus for me. The auto preload, yeah, no brainer, fantastic for a modern tourer these days. What's its only negative? Well, it's lost its electrically adjusted screen. They said, look, they've done their market research, people weren't really using it. I beg to differ. I use mine all the time. I like the electrical adjusted screen, I really do. But if I was to give up anything else, I'd take the loss of weight and all the other good things about the bike, and I'd happily give up the electrically adjusted screen for those things. So not too worried about that. Overall though, Triumph are playing the blinder with this bike. They say they've been 4 years in the development. It's a massive improvement over my current 1200, which is a 2018, their last generation model. They've kept the service intervals, so there's no valve service intervals for 20,000 miles or 32,000 kilometres. So the service intervals are the same as the last bike. Look, for most people it's going to be annually rather than the 10,000 mile limit. But the important one is the 20,000 miles or 32,000 kilometres on the valve clearances and stuff like that, which is the expensive service. So look, they've done a good job there compared to most of the competitors. Overall, a fantastic result, a fantastic bike. I really like it. So I better find out what's on the rest of the Triumph stand. The trouble with Triumph is you can't just have one. Oh my God, you'd buy every bike in the range. There will now be a short intermission for a public service broadcast for the owners of Triumph's last 1200cc sports bike. Calling all owners of the Triumph Daytona 1200, a new faired 1200cc bike has arrived for your consideration. It's not fully faired, but that's old hat, don't you know? It does fit, you know. It does fit. If you think the Speed Triple RR is an extreme riding position, try and ride the Triumph Daytona 1200 or 900. That RR, I sat in it at the show, and I have to say, it's quite a comfortable bike. It's not as extreme on the legs with the foot pegs as the old Daytona, but the handlebars are actually at a nicer position on the RR as well. Now I've since raised the bars on my Daytona here because my old bones won't take lower bars, but it's quite a nice sitting position. So if you're finding your old Daytona uncomfortable, go out and buy an RR for the odd 19 grand. Yeah, I do wish I'd worn the jumper in that last video because the t-shirt exposed my portly or stout physique. The new Tiger Sport 660 was very popular, very popular. Accused for people trying to sit on that. You know, one of the amazing things about some of these Triumph bikes, and they don't publicise it enough, I think, the load capacity of the new Tiger Sport is 223 kilograms. There's not many bikes in that category that will do that. That's opposed to the Trident's 205 kilograms, which even that, you know, for a naked 660 is fantastic. So hats off to Triumph on that respect. Anyway, quick whiz round, have a quick look at the other stuff. Best of the rest. The Langan two-stroke was a bit of an oddity, but look, you could see the premium feel about this bike. So I believe it's quite expensive, but great to see a two-stroke make a reappearance, I will say. The big BMW twin pots were there in force. Exquisite bikes, but just too much bike for too little road. Well, where I live anyway, in Ireland. Exquisite, but too much. Harley Pan America, I really enjoyed my test ride of the Pan America. I think it's a fantastic bike, and it's selling like hotcakes. Really enjoyed walking around the CCM stand. A lot of bikes with premium paint finishes, really well thought out. I don't think there was a single bike on there that I didn't like the look of. They really went up market. The new Suzuki Sports Tour really caught my eye. I reckon this is going to sell in big numbers. I sat on this and I sat on the Z1000 SX and I found this much more comfortable, much less cramped on the legs. I thought it had a premium finish to it. I like the idea that it hasn't got every single bells and whistles that a lot of the bikes have nowadays. It's more towards the value end of the market. Look, I know it's still a lot of money, but it looked like a great bike. The only thing that would turn me off if it has a crappy valve service interval, that's something I'd need to look into. And what else? Oh yeah, I'd have to check it out for max loading. But 226 kilos wet and an 810 mil seat height. Fantastic. Good proposition. The Katana looked brilliant in this grey. This must be a new colour for 2022, but it really popped. God, I you know, if you could just have a road bike for kicking around, this would be a lovely bike. Look, it's going to make a crappy tour and everything like that, but just for a Sunday blast bike, what a bike. Really like the looks of this bike. And look, if there isn't a CB1100, I have a CB1100. I love this bike. It's a real lazy afternoon, Sunday afternoon bike. Married nicely though to this Watsonian Squire sidecar, and they've done a great paint match job. It was great to see the BSA Gold Star 650cc single on the stand. It's a good replication of what went before it. I sat in the bike, it's very comfortable, the ergos are very nice, the quality looked nice. I can see them just selling bucket loads of these, like the Royal Enfield 650, which it will compete with, no doubt. But they'll sit there side by side. They'll sell loads of these, absolute bucket loads of them. They really are a bit unique, and they deserve to do well. I enjoyed the Fantic stand. They're offering something that nobody else is offering, really. Great bikes. You can imagine those scooting around on a country road. Nice size, everything like that. Yeah, enjoyed that stand. But the award for the best stand at the show, and probably along with Triumph, one of the most busiest stands, has to go to Kawasaki. The stand layout was fantastic. You could get to see all of the bikes really easily, even when it was quite busy. The lighting was fantastic, and whoever chose the lighting, they really did a brilliant job of making them making the colours on the bikes pop. Obviously, there was one or two green light bulbs around, which made a big difference. But it made the bikes look stunning. I mean, look at these colour schemes on these bikes. They really were nice in the flesh. You would be really hard pushed not to find a bike that you'd like on the Kawasaki stand. They had just a bit of everything there. New Z650 here looks great, and the Z900 SC in the background. Well, that wraps up the NEC for me. So it just leaves me to get a test ride on the new Tiger 1200 come April once it hits the dealers. Let's see what happens then. That's right. Yeah, that is right. I'm telling you, I know top people in Triumph. Top people. Top people. No, I don't really know anybody in Triumph. I've got Honda. I don't know anyone in Honda either. I know the salesman, Declan, in Dublin, but he doesn't really work for Triumph. I made all that up.